What happens when gods stop holding back? Today, you're going to witness the beginning of one of the most insane, violent, and epic arcs ever led by Storm. I'm Andrew, the Geek Master, and in this video we'll explore a storyline that blends mythology, tragedy, vengeance, and cosmic chaos, and one that will redefine what it means to be an Omega mutant. To not miss stories like this one, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and let's get started. As we saw in previous issues, Eternity, the embodiment of the universe, has selected Storm to be its host, granting her new cosmic-level powers as the Eternal Storm. As a result, Storm and her former X-Men teammate Maggot have found themselves in the warpath of Hadad, the first Storm God, and his minions. Storm became embroiled in a legal battle against the U.S. government, who wanted to hold her accountable for an explosion at a nuclear plant in Oklahoma City caused by a mutant child, Jaden. But in the end, they were forced to release them from custody. Now, free from her earthly shackles, Storm prepares to face Hadad in the oncoming Thunder War. The story begins 4 days into the future, where in the territory of Madripoor, the mutant bishop is overcome by intense pain. He knows he cannot stop what's coming, and asks Storm for forgiveness before unleashing a colossal burst of mutant energy that tears across the sky like a scream from the universe itself. Reality folds, and the narrative hurls itself into the far reaches of space, where Storm, accompanied by the teleporter Manifold and the now Omega-level Maggot, moves forward with a clear purpose: to feed one monster to another. Yes, Maggot, in his new form, must devour an ancient kaiju, a colossal creature bigger than any Earth metropolis. This is only possible because Maggot's powers have now reached Omega level, just like Storm's. Manifold, in the face of such overwhelming power, feels out of place, and Maggot wastes no time poking fun, including about Manifold's crush on Shuri. It's worth noting that this task is far from easy. In fact, it takes them 3 whole days to complete. To pass the time, the trio plays truth or dare until Maggot finally consumes every fragment of the kaiju, flesh, bone, and even its essence. Then we reach the fateful 4th day, where in Orun, the realm of the Orishas, Sango awakens to his melancholic routine. Despite having 3 wives, he carries a quiet sorrow every morning. In their last encounter, the mutant goddess Storm left a warning that the gods who attacked her should sleep with their eyes open. She promised revenge, and promises made under thunder are never forgotten. Yes, Sango and the other storm gods had confronted Ororo and made her pay a price. Not with words or threats, but something worse. They forced her to cut her magnificent hair. That wasn't just an insult, but a violation of her divine identity. In response, Storm invoked forces imbued with solar radiation to corner her prey. She wasn't always this titanic force. In earlier days, she had to rely solely on intelligence and skill. She fought, bled, and trained until she broke human limits and became the most powerful mutant on Earth, the Omega among Omegas, the Supreme Omega. Sango's arrogance was his greatest mistake. When he thought he was in control, Maggot's fist, now with the size and strength of a cosmic titan, crashed down from the heavens of the Orishas like punishment from above. Storm wasn't alone. Alongside Maggot, Manifold stepped in, ready to use his powers right after. Yes, the Aboriginal teleporter joined forces to accomplish the impossible, imprisoning Sango in a pocket dimension, a space where physical and magical laws collapse. A place with no entrance, no exit, no time or space, a true prison for gods. Now imagine Sango's surprise when, in addition to realizing he's trapped, he also discovers he's not alone. Because in that place, Sango meets Shayak, another victim of Storm's divine fury who was imprisoned before him. With two gods chained to eternal emptiness, the others could feel the storm in the air. They knew the powerful mutant was coming for each of them. Anyway, Ororo returned to her sanctuary and, from the skies, witnessed the release of mutant energy by Bishop. She immediately sensed that something was off. Then she used Manifold's powers to teleport to Bishop. And that's when, finally, the truth came to light. Jaden, the child who started it all 7 months earlier in Oklahoma, was under Storm's care. Her powers were about to erupt like a new sun. Bishop had tried to contain the child's fury by absorbing the energy from her nightmare. But this time the force was too much. The explosion tore across the skies, alerting any entity powerful enough to sense cosmic disturbances. Jaden tried to apologize, saying she had tried her best to control her gift, but this time it was impossible. And Ororo, with tenderness, asked her to show her hair, now dyed in the same color as her own. However, the moment of tenderness was shockingly interrupted by a sudden tragedy, an explosion, a sea of blood. In an instant, Maggot's head simply vanished. The emotional impact froze the most powerful mutants on the planet. And before anyone could react, Manifold fell as well. He was split in half, without warning, without a chance, without mercy. You may wonder who is doing this, and well, that's when we see voodoo dolls, mystical weapons shaped by desperation, and the last one represented Storm. The attack was a revenge carefully orchestrated after the humiliations suffered by her tormentors. They weren't just fanatics. They were agents representing the United States, operating in Madripoor, a territory beyond the reach of conventional law. This was the perfect chance to assassinate a god. And indeed, Agent Fabii gave the order, and Agent Etienne was not to hesitate. It was time to cut Ororo Monroe's lifeline. But there was something they didn't know. Some entities aren't called gods because they can kill. They are called that because not even death can stop them. That's when the sky opened, and Norin Rad, the Silver Surfer, came crashing down. And like every herald of the unnameable, he didn't come alone. His arrival heralded destruction, and suddenly Galactus, the devourer of worlds now turned into cargo, fell like dead weight. The impact nearly obliterated the assassins, who stood horrified, watching the impossible materialize before their eyes. Storm is alive. Reality flickers, time hesitates, and then she came. Infinity, the unknowable expansion of all reality. She recalled how she had saved Galactus and his herald from a future ruled by the Black Winter, and that even broken, they never bowed. Now, Infinity had come to Storm because only she knew the truth. And before something worse happens, she makes a demand. She needs to know the whereabouts of her twin brother. She wants the answer. She needs to know what Ororo did with eternity. And that's how the first chapter of the Thunder God's War ends. A chapter where Storm showed why she's more than a mutant, more than a goddess, more than a symbol. She is the living Storm. And now even Infinity demands answers. If you don't want to miss the upcoming chapters, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like, because it really helps us keep bringing you these stories. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next adventure.